let's discuss something very frank and honest you will never hear in the atheist circles. They will, people who do not believe in God, as far as I know, tend to try to deny that this happens. But we're going to have an open and frank discussion about whether there is a God, whether or not Jesus is God, or whether it's all atheism, no crock of shit. We need to bring these out to the open, and I encourage you to give me some video responses in answer to my questions. I want to ask you, we got a shitload of religions, but why is it so many people, when they hear about Jesus, they just feel this is the right answer? How, it's not something you know, even though reason and everything tells them, this can't be true, this is nonsense. Why is this a voice? And an atheist, do you feel this voice? Or do you try to tell yourself this voice doesn't exist? What is this voice that makes you, it's like with me, Christianity is the only thing that makes sense, but that's just me. I was raised a Christian all my life, so you know, I'm not what you call a objective witness, or am I? No matter how angry I get at God, no matter how many times I curse and swear at Him, and lash out at Him and speak out against Him, if I was to find out if I was dying today, I'd be terrified. I'd be begging God to help me, and Jesus. Why is that? Why is it when people are dying, they never do that to Buddha, they never beg out to Buddha, even those who've heard both Christianity and Buddhism? Why is it everybody always turns to this one God? When atheists are dying, I could give you, when Voltaire was dying, he's the one who said about the Holy Roman Empire, neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. He's the one who said the pen is mightier than the sword. When he was dying, they were bringing his works to him. He said, away with him. And why is it when some people are dying who've lived the life of an atheist as they're dying, you won't read about this by Kenneth Ring is an expert on near-death experiences. But he does not admit these exist. He says near-death experiences are all positive. You will be hard-pressed to find somebody who will admit that there are people who, as they were dying, they were screaming things like, help, the demons are out there outside waiting for me to die. Make them go away. There have been people who are dying screaming that they were on fire. Why is this? Is there anybody who's been dying that you've ever known or heard of who screamed out for Buddha to save them? Or Joseph Smith? Anybody you know who was dying who experienced a Buddhist hell? Here's another thing, and I want you to explain to me. I knew this guy named Thurston Carlisle back in the 80s. He went to Faithful Baptist Church. He got saved in 84, I think. He was talking about what happened that led to his conversion to Christianity. He had gone to church at our church, Faithful Baptist Church, and heard the sermon and felt pricked in his heart to go up and give his life to Christ. Well, he didn't. Well, all of a sudden that day he felt something deep, some intuition, deepest intuition, not madman's thoughts, but something like, if you ever had something where you know it's true but you don't know how it's true, and you shouldn't know how it's true but you just know it's true. Something was telling him all day, afternoon long, one more chance. You got one more chance. You got one more chance. He was watching the football game, and every time he saw a person carrying the football, he said that person looked like a one. That figure looked like a one. One more chance. One more chance. One more chance. Well, he was driving that afternoon, not intending to go to church, and he found himself winding up at Faithful Baptist Church. One more chance. This is your last chance. You will die if you do not take this chance. This is your last chance. Well, he went up and he got saved. And he lived a life of joy after that. Why? Does anybody know of any other religion or any other person who's converted to any other religion because they felt this is your last chance to convert to this religion? This is your last chance to become a Buddhist. If you do not, you will die. If there are any other stories like that, I want to hear them. Because right now, Christianity got the market cornered on being the realest religion out there. Here's another story. My Uncle Mark. No, I don't want to mention his name. He was a wild character back in his days. Wow, I still admire him to this day. Some of the exploits he was able to do. I'm not allowed to go to liberty to explain, but if I done half the things he had done, my self-esteem would be high in the clouds. I would feel like I was a somebody. But anyways, this preacher named Philip was we had been talking to him for years, trying to get him to come to church. And sometimes he would come to church, but there was a darkness about him, and both him and his wife back then. A darkness. Yes, that could be pleasant, but there was just like when you were around him, you just felt a darkness. He had all the neighborhood kids, when they would pick on his son, he forced all the neighborhood kids to start calling him master. And they did too. We're talking white kids. We're not talking black kids, so get your mind out of the gutter. Quit thinking racism. These were all white kids, tough kids, and he had them calling him, he's like, you're going to call me master from now on. And they didn't pick on his son anymore. Well, the preacher Philip, on June the 8th, 1987, went to talk to him, and he spoke with them, and they was like listening. Well, all of a sudden, my cousin came up, was spending the night with me. I get a call. We get a call at our home. I pick up the phone. It's my uncle asking to speak to my dad and the preacher. And that was very unusual, him asking for dad and the preacher. Well, come to find out, what had happened was, right after Philip left, he felt this strange, this terrifying fear descend upon him into his intuition. Not just his soul and heart, but into his spirit. Something deep inside of him saying, you're going to die. You will die. Your time is short. You better get right, because you are going to die. The devil's going to get you. And he was terrified. And the preacher, of course, he was very happy to go and talk to him. You see, that's the thing. People like Howard Storm and George C. Richard III, who had near-death experiences, supposedly seen Jesus face to face. Whenever I spoke to them, they acted like I was infringing on their time. But this preacher, who believed in hellfire and brimstone, he dropped whatever it was that he was going to do that night, and it was like about 9 at night. He let Dad pick him up, and they went over and talked to him. And my uncle was terrified. They could see it in his face. He was like, I got to do this now, because I'm going to die. He knew he was going to die. But it didn't make any sense, because how did he know he was going to die? Scientifically, it didn't make any sense, but when you got that intuition deep within, you know it, but you don't know how you know it, and you shouldn't even know it, but you do, you better listen. And so, they got saved, and they were talking to him, and he finally was ready to get saved, and he was ready to get saved, and then looked at his wife and said, why do you join in on this and make this a twosome? She broke down into tears, and they both got saved. Now, when she got saved, she surrendered everything she had to the Lord. She was truly, completely changed. He was changed, but even to this day, he'll tell you right now, look, I'm on the bottom of the bunch, but I know at least I'm going to heaven. I may have a problem with my cousin, and now, he drinks now, but at least he made it in. He's like, I know one thing, I got a lot of these religious hypocrites in three-piece suits don't got, I got the Lord in my heart. Okay? here's what I want some responses. I want y'all to answer my question. What is going on here? Is there any other religion that makes people feel that sudden terror that they're gonna die? They do not turn to that religion. Does anybody know any stories of where this happened, where somebody heard about Buddhism or Hinduism and felt a terror that they better turn to that religion or they would die, and it would be too late? Well, anybody who's heard about who was dying and was screaming for a Hindu priest to come and talk to them so that they would not have to go to hell. Now, you're not going to hear about this stuff in the world. You're not going to hear about this stuff if you read Kenneth Green and all these people who don't want to believe it happens, because too much for their mind to take. They just can't bother to take it because the implications are that they're living a wrong life and they'd have to change, and it's too terrifying for them. You're not gonna find these in the library, these stories in the library, unless you look deep, because they're hidden. I want to hear some feedback from y'all. Let's make this a community thing.